School failed me. School's failing entrepreneurs every single day because it's not built for entrepreneurship. It's built for workers. What happened with me is I had the great benefit of being an immigrant. I was born in Belarus, in the former Soviet Union, and came to the States in '78 when they let some Jews out of there. And we set up in Queens, and my parents lived the American dream. They worked very hard. My dad was a stock boy in a liquor store in Clark, New Jersey, and eventually became the manager of that store, and eventually saved up enough money to buy a store in Springfield, New Jersey. I was lemonade stands, baseball cards, real hustler kid, blow pops, anything to make a buck. And at 14, I got dragged into the store. You know, oldest son, immigrant family. I always tell people, Larry, that I lived their grandparents' life more than theirs, right? I'm a couple generations behind most. I did it in the 70s and 80s and 90s when most people did in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. I fell in love with people collecting wine when I was 17 because I was into collecting sports cards. That was my connection point. I wanted to build 4,000 wine shops. I was gonna build a Toys R Us of wine, sell the franchise, buy the New York Jets. That's what the plan was. Heard the internet my freshman year of college, heard that sound, knew that it was special, and in 1996 I launched one of the first e-commerce wine businesses in America called WineLibrary.com. Took over my dad's business, kind of running it day to day in 1998 alongside with him, and from 98 to 2003, helped grow that business from a $3 to a $60 million business. That became the foundation. Built that on e-commerce, email marketing, banner advertising, Google AdWords, things that the marketing world didn't believe yet. And then YouTube came out, and I started a wine show 4 months after YouTube started. I grew up a wine expert. From 15 to 30, in those 15 years, my whole life was wine.
Were you always successful?
In everything but school. Poor. Terrible, actually. Punted it. You know, it was funny. And this is where I give my parents enormous credit. And it's funny, it's a business book that says self-awareness. My parents grew up, and I give them so much credit, in a world where all their contemporaries, and you know this, education's the way out for immigrants. My mom recognized that I was a merchant, an entrepreneur. School failed me. School's failing entrepreneurs every single day because it's not built for entrepreneurship. It's built for workers. You know, if you're being taught to play within the lines, and there's nothing being taught that maps to the entrepreneurial market. As a matter of fact, my biggest cynicism when I sit across an entrepreneur today is if they are too successful at school. I probably look at Ivy League grads starting startups right now with more of a negative light, because what I've learned over the last 5 to 7 years, and by the way, in the last 2 or 3 years, I've taken a step back on this because there's too many entrepreneurial friends who've gone to great schools that have been successful. So this is not a blanket statement, but I will tell you that in a world of private schools, in a world of mommy and daddy having a lot of connections, that when you go from 12, 15, 18 years of that ecosystem and you go into a market and you create an app, the market doesn't give a crap who your dad is. The market responds to your product, and a lot of these kids have not been able to take the punch in the mouth that comes along with entrepreneurship. The things that I've been pushing people to do is, 1, create an ecosystem where you make the people closest to you feel comfortable to tell you the truth. So one of the things I've been asking for people to do is tell your mom and dad and spouse, best friend, coworker, hey, tell me the truth. What am I good at? What am I bad at? And spend a month or 2 to get them comfortable to actually tell you the truth, because the people that love you sure don't want to tell you. I think we're living through a very interesting moment. I believe that the telephone is becoming the television, and the television is becoming the radio. And I've been spending a lot of time studying the transition in the late 50s from radio to television, because this is the first time we've had a platform shift in our society in a half a century, and I think it's a very big deal. And I've been spending an enormous amount of time, the last 5 years, trying to be the best storyteller for that platform. Well, I think we first understand that social media is a slang term for the current state of the internet. And when you position social media that way, you take it a lot more seriously. So step 1, Larry, for 97% of the people that are watching is to actually take it serious. That's number 1. And again, we were talking as we were getting ready, a lot of radio people didn't take television serious when the transition happened. That was their loss, right? That's what's happening right now, Larry. This is historics. The history always tells you the future. And so that's what's happening. So first, take it serious. 2, understand that Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and YouTube, these are different channels. It's the difference between CNN and Fox and ABC and sports ESPN. You've got to understand the context that you're on. So when you're storytelling about your business on YouTube, you've got to produce different content than when you're putting a picture on Facebook. So again, I think that people underestimate context of the medium. Number 3, it's understanding that you have to provide value. Too many businesses right now on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, every post they put out is buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. Here's where I'm gonna be, check me out, buy my book, check out my experience, watch me on my show. And nobody's providing value. So the prior book I wrote to this was called Jab, 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 Right Hook. Give, 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 ask. And it gave people a formula of how to put out content that actually gave people enough value that you then had them in a consideration to buy your stuff. When I came to America, in Queens and in Dover, I couldn't speak English. Dover, New Jersey.
Spoke
and
Hebrew?
No, I wasn't speaking Yiddish,
Russian?
But I was speaking Russian. But there was something when I moved to Edison, New Jersey, the kid, Eric Godfrey, Robbie Turnick, they were playing football, and they made me a Jets fan, and it was my first American thing. And my mom, everybody had a Jets jersey, and I wanted one. And my mom, we couldn't afford stuff like that. It's not what immigrants do. You don't go out and buy a $30 Jets jersey. So my mom knitted me one. And so I have it. It's my prized possession. It's literally my prized possession. And I've created a fairy tale in my mind somewhere around 2nd or 3rd grade that I was gonna go from not being able to afford a jersey to owning the whole damn thing. And that is the quest to buy the Jets is my happiness. Whether I buy them or not, so many variables. One, that cash is oxygen. I'm blown away by all these people that are starting businesses that don't realize that money is important. Like they think about all these things. They're trying to think about 4 years from now and they haven't made their first check. Just complete lack of practicality when thinking about a business. Number 2, strengths. Are you a salesman? Are you the accountant? Do you have financial strength? Do you have sales strength? Are you operationally? Are you good at HR? Whatever you're best at, do that. Surround yourself with the other 3 or 4 pillars that need to have a business. And number 3, look for the white space. Meaning, where are people not marketing and storytelling that you can? Is Snapchat, is YouTube, is a blog or a podcast your way to separate yourself from everybody else while they're running direct mail or radio or television or print advertising? What's the white space in your sector that nobody else is filling? I think first of all, I'm an EQ, HR-driven CEO. I think I win not on my IQ, but on my emotional intelligence. I think that I'm very in tune to people's feelings. I try to reverse engineer what they're about. For example, I have no interest in my kids being anything but who they are. My mom gifted me by parenting me to my strengths. If my kids are artists or want to be in the nonprofit sector or climb mountains, I'm all in. I want them to do them. The one line in the sand I have is no 8th place trophies. Lizzie knows, and now I'm looking at the camera because I want her to see my eyes again, no 8th place trophies. Life is about winning and losing. It's binary, right? So as long as my kids know that, I don't care what they do. They don't need to make money. They don't need to be entrepreneurs. But to win, there's a real market. To be a great artist, to be great at helping other people, you have to be great at it.